What's up guys, my name is Chris, or TaintedCatalyst, and today I'm bringing you the second round out of a possible 3. This is part 1, it was a long video so I had to cut it up into 2 parts. Part 2 will be up tomorrow. Okay, so let's start the video. Okay, so the person on the left kept his same deck, he kept the white deck, and the guy on the right changed to a green deck instead of using the red deck that he was using. My brother and I are using the same decks, we've not changed any cards. Okay, so we are playing first. And we both got pretty decent hands. I started up with a good amount of land for this deck. You don't really want too many lands or too few lands, and your cards, you don't want them to be too high costing, but that's not usually a problem with the red deck. The white deck. So I lead with my core duelist, and my brother leads with a Blade of Bloodchief, and then we pass over. Okay, so as I was saying, he's now using the green deck, and this guy is still using the white deck. And he leads with a Kitesail Apprentice, I think it's called. It's the one that gets +1/+1 and flying whenever it's equipped. My white guy gets double strike when he is equipped. Okay, so back to our turn. Okay, so I go ahead and I think I'm going to play the Kitesail. My brother plays his Tormented Soul, which is a 1/1 for 1, as you can see. It can't be blocked, but also can't block. But that's not really a big deal because there's a lot of creatures on our field. So he equips the Blade of the Bloodchief to it, and what Blade of the Bloodchief does is whenever a creature dies, the equipped creature gets +1/+1 a counter, +1/+1 counter, sorry, unless it's a vampire, in which case it gets 2 +1/+1 counters. And now I'm not really sure why, but I decided to attack. I was thinking maybe if he blocks, I have enough creatures that it doesn't really make much of a difference, and it also gets rid of his, potential flying threat. But he doesn't block, so we get it for 1 damage. And I also put our 30 life challenge at risk right there, because my brother's monster can't block, and if he attacked, then we'd go down to 29. Okay, so they don't play anything in main phase 1, and they don't attack, luckily for us. Not that 1 damage is any big deal, but, the 30 life challenge. So, just waiting on them to see what they do in their main phase 2. Just showing you the Blade of the Bloodchief. I already explained it's 1 to play, 1 to equip, and they don't play anything else after that, so that's good. That's good for us. It gives us a good lead. We felt like this was going to be the same as the first game. They had too many cards in their deck or whatever, and they just weren't able to draw stuff that they needed. So my brother plays a Bloodghast. It's a 2/1 for 2 black mana. It can't block, and it has haste if the opponent's got 10 or less life. And it also has a landfall ability, and what landfall does is if a land comes into play, you can activate under your side of the field, you can activate its ability. And its ability is if it's in the graveyard, when a land comes into play that you've played, you can get him back from the graveyard and put him into play. So we're going to attack for 5 damage here. You can't block it unless they've got something in the hand to actually like an instant to use to stop an attack. But they don't, and so we get through for 5. 1 from my brother's 1/1 creature that can't be blocked, and mine is a 2/1 now flying creature with double strike. And double strike basically attacks twice. So it'll attack once, do 2 damage, attack again, do another 2 damage. So they go down to 24, since I did 1 damage on our second turn. And then he plays, I don't know what the name of it is, but it's an enchantment, and each turn, each player draws an additional card, and they can also play an additional land every turn. So he plays a Core Outfitter. I called it Core Equipper last game, sorry, but it's a Core Outfitter 2/2. When it comes into play, you can equip one of your equipment to one of your creatures. He doesn't have any equipment right now, so that's good. And then I don't think he attacks. No. Okay, so no attack. So again, our life's still looking pretty good. So we draw 2 cards. Unfortunately, neither one of us draws a land, so we can only play 1 of our lands this turn. And I decided to play Gideon's Avenger, I want to say. I think I'll go to it in a second, I'm not positive. But basically, whenever one of the creatures gets tapped, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. And so I've used my creature there. It's a 1/1 for 1. You can tap 1 white mana and tap him, and he will tap down target creature. So I've done that to his 2/2 creature, just so I can give my Gideon's, I feel like it's called Gideon's Avenger. I'm not positive. If someone knows the name of it, put it in the comments. I'm terrible with remembering the name, so I'm sorry. But so he becomes a 3/3 creature because he was a 2/2, and then he gets a +1/+1 counter. And my brother did something foolish. He played his land first, and then attacked with the Bloodghast, which means that in his main phase 2 he isn't able to play a land because he doesn't have one to get his Bloodghast back. However, the spirit creature does get a +1/+1 counter on it for each of the 2 creatures that just died. And then he also, in his main phase 2, plays Vampire Outcast, which has Bloodthirst 2, which is whenever you have dealt damage to an opponent this turn and you play that card with Bloodthirst, it comes into play with X counters on it and +1/+1 counters on. And X is the Bloodthirst number. So Bloodthirst 2, it gets 2 +1/+1 counters on it, meaning that it becomes a 4/4, I think it is. I think it starts off as a 2/2. And I think it has a lifelink as well. So at this point, I drew an arrest on my last turn, and I was thinking, okay, that's fine. He's played Serra Angel, which is a 4/4 flying vigilance creature, and I'll just arrest it. Then he plays this Marrow Sorcerer, which has Shroud, and its attack and defense are equal to the number of cards in all hands, which means that there's 13 cards in everyone's hand combined. So it's a 13/13 creature, and I'm like, okay, that's not good. And then I realize it has Shroud, so I can't arrest it. Shroud is that it can't be the target of spells or abilities that anyone controls. That includes your own stuff. So I can't arrest it, and I'm thinking, okay, they've got a big 13/13 monster out. This isn't looking too great. And now it's even more because we've just drawn 2 cards each. So I say to my brother that we just need to play whatever we can. So I arrest the Serra Angel just because it's, you know, 4/4 flying with vigilance. It could become a pain. So yeah. So right now we're just thinking about what to play, and I can't tap down the green 13. I think it goes down to 13/13 now. Third my kite sail. I can't tap him down because it's an ability of my creature to target it, which won't work. So I play the kite sail because on my next turn I can play my core outfitter and equip that to something for free because it costs 2 to equip normally. I didn't realize at the time, but my brother equipped the Blade of the Bloodchief to his lifelink vampire that had Bloodthirst. And I would rather he kept it on the 3/3, now 3/3 spirit creature that can't be blocked, because then we could have kept attacking every turn with it, because it can't block and it can't be blocked, so there's no point in, you know, really keeping it back. So we attack in for 7 damage, I think, puts them down to 12, and then my brother plays his. I didn't really see what that was. I'm sorry. It's a 4/2 creature. And so we pass the turn back over to them, and we're just thinking, okay, well, my 1/1 creature that can tap things down isn't really too great. Oh, he plays a Captain of the Watch, which is the one I played last game, which gets out 3 1/1 soldier tokens, and gives all soldiers vigilance and +1/+1. And then he plays a couple more things, a reach creature, 2/4 spider, which basically it can block flying creatures. So I'm like, okay, so my core duelist with double strike, even though it's got double strike, will still die now if I attack with it. And then Dungrove Elder has hexproof, which means that our things can't affect it, but his can. So he can use a giant growth on it, and it'll go up to 10/10. That is also equal to the number of forests that you control, and he has 7, so it's a 7/7. So we're just thinking to ourselves, this isn't going so great. They've got some big monsters out, and I can't really get through to attack with my double strike flyer. So at this point, I'm thinking, we were talking about it, we're trying to decide what to block with, and we realized that my 1/1 creature was pretty much going to be useless because I can't target either of the 2 big monsters that he has on his side of the field, because you know, one's got hexproof and one's got shroud, so they can't be the target of my spells or abilities. And so I decided to just block the 12/12, I think it is at this point, with the again, I forget the name of it, but the 1/1 to tap creatures down. And so that dies, giving my brother's lifelink creature 2 +1/+1 counters. And then he plays Urge to Feed, and again, he wasn't communicating very well with me. He played Urge to Feed to kill the Captain of the Watch, which is fine, but then he as an additional cost, if you want, you can tap down any number of vampires, and they will all get a +1/+1 counter on them. And so he taps down all 3 of his vampires, and I'm like, okay, if they swing with everything, then we're gonna go below 30 health. I mean, it's not a big deal because we'll block the big things, and a couple of the 1/1s we'll get through. But it was still like, I'd rather he had at least mentioned it to me so we could decide. And so, yeah. So right now we've just really got his creature, the 3/3 that can attack to do damage. And again, he's going to attack with it. There's no point in keeping it back because it can't block. So it's really useless to us as a blocker. We should be attacking with it every turn because they have no way to stop it. And so I drew a Brave the Elements, and what that does is it's a 1 white mana to play. I think it's an instant. Yeah, it is an instant. And you choose a colour when you play it, and whatever colour you choose, all your white creatures get protection from that colour. So we're just going to wrap up the end of this turn. I play my core outfitter to equip the Kite Sail, the one that's not equipped, onto the same creature that's got one already. And then I think I play my Elite Vanguard, which is the 2/1 for 1. Oh, sorry, 2/1 for 1. So the next half of this game is going to be going up tomorrow. You can see whether or not we go below 30 health and if we even win. And then we may have to go into round 3. So thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like if you liked it, leave a comment and subscribe.